I am Paula Alves de Souza. I'm a Brazilian diplomat from the Brazilian Foreign Service. First of all, it is important to mention that we at the Brazilian Foreign Service, as diplomats, are all career diplomats. We all start at the Diplomatic Academy in Brazil, and we cross paths along our careers. So in a sense, we are more or less like a family. And it's important to say that like this, we know each other very well. And in this sense, I don't know if this affected me in a positive way, to never see myself as a woman diplomat. I always saw myself as the diplomat, as all my colleagues. But I have to admit that we women diplomats have some challenges that we have to face. Undoubtedly, most important of them is on a personal level. It can be similar to all careers, but I think it's particularly complicated to some extent, raising a family, motherhood, conciliating the fact that we have to move from a country to another. This is on a personal level, but this should never discourage young women who want to integrate the diplomatic service in their countries, because it is possible to conciliate. And it is a wonderful career in the sense that it presents its challenges, but its challenges are very, very interesting. For instance, here at UNESCO, I've been posted at UNESCO since March 2023, so a year and a half practically, or more or less. And here, for me, this is my first post as an ambassador. But the interesting thing is how UNESCO, as a multilateral post, brings to us diplomats an interesting challenge, the challenge of facing our own prejudices, I would say, because we're dealing with 194 countries. You have to position yourself with the interests of your country, but not as in a bilateral post where you have to deal with another country's interest. Here you have to juggle your interests and the other country's interests. And the secretariat as well, because the organization at the end as well has its purpose and its mandate. And you have to see exactly how you can really put yourself into it and make yourself heard and make the things that you have to defend matter. But having said the question of prejudices, because of course we're talking about different cultures, different views of the world, especially on an organization as UNESCO where you're dealing with culture and education. But it's interesting, I would say, first of all, this is the most important challenge. But as well, we have to admit, there's an interesting question here at UNESCO. We are many women ambassadors here at UNESCO, but yet we have to think about as well the prejudices of others, no? And prejudices sometimes, again, is having a woman sharing a post. I've never faced that, but this is something that one has to think about. The interesting thing is that along my career, I never saw itself, I would say, being a woman was something that was a positive or a negative thing. The interesting thing is how to deal with everyday life and having this personal challenge, which is exactly, as I said, raising a family and having your family living abroad sometimes when they grow up, which is my case. My children are in Brazil and I'm here in Paris. And this second element that is very important, how to deal with prejudices and the cultures. And the wonderful thing is that you outgrow this whole thing and you become a better person. Now that I'm dealing, it's an everyday process of dealing with the unknown, with the other, and knowing the other, and trying to see how the interests of my country are complementary to the interests of their country, of the others' countries, so that at the end we can make a better world. It seems a bit naive, but this is the reality. And this is the wonderful thing about being in a multilateral post. At the end, I mean, I just have to say, as I said in the beginning, young women, please don't fear the challenges that you face ahead, because you will going to face different challenges somewhere. And the wonderful thing about being a diplomat and being a woman diplomat and being a woman diplomat in a multilateral post is especially at UNESCO, is this possibility that in a way you can contribute, you can have a voice, and you can lend your voice to the others. And at the end, we have different people talking about maybe the same subjects, but in a different way. And this is surely it's going to make us better persons in a better world.